any questions or for a Q&A session. In the meantime, if you have any questions, you can definitely talk to us. I'm logged in as NexLearn GoToMeeting, so you can definitely talk to me, and I will pass those questions on to Karen. So without further ado, Karen, take it away.
Okay, thanks, AJ. Hi, everyone. As AJ said, I'm a member of the product development team, and so I'm happy to show you Simwriter 6.5, the new features, as well as just an overview of Simwriter for any of you who are getting back to Simwriter or who haven't used it in some time. I will give a brief overview here. I know time is of the essence here, and we do have a limited amount of time, so I'm going to jump right in. So what I've done here is I've opened up Simwriter, and this is just a blank from scratch sim. And before we go into too far, I do want to point out just the overall layout. For those of you who have used Simwriter, it should look very similar. This has not changed. We have over here in the far, maybe third or quarter of the screen, the map panel, okay? And the map panel has two tabs. It's always going to have two tabs. It's going to have this main tab, which is going to show you all the topics that are your e-learning course is made up of, all right? Then within each topic, you can drill down, double-click it, and you jump over to the individual topic tab, which shows you the contents of that topic. And this little guy here is a stage. That's what we use to build our simulation. So we go back to the main tab. This is a topic. I kind of think of it this way. A topic is just an organizational tool. You can think of it as, if you're looking at a book, you have chapters, and chapters help organize a book. Think of a topic as chapters of your e-learning course. You could think of it as Roman numerals in an outline, however you want to think of it. But that's the same, kind of like the 10,000-foot view of your e-learning course. And we can add more topics to our main tab here, which is fine. We do that a lot. You know, we do a lot of custom development at NexLearn still, and so we tend to use lots of topics to organize our courses that we create for our clients. And so, you know, you can just have one topic and have all of your simulation right inside one topic. You can certainly do that, but we really encourage people to think about the flow of your course, the different compartments of it, how it's, you know, broken out into different sections, and use these topics to help keep your content organized. It will also help you share content from course to course. If you want to copy and paste the topic into a different simulation, you can do that. So I'm going to start off here with two different topics, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill down at that first topic, and there's our first stage. A stage, if the topics are the chapters of our book, a stage is a page within that chapter. Those of you who are familiar with PowerPoint and who isn't, you can also think of stages as slides. You can think of them that way. Basically, the stage is the foundation on which we put stuff: words, graphics, images, interactivities, videos, sound files. This is the thing that you will use the most in Simwriter for developing the different points of your course. So that is this far left panel here. This is the map panel with the two different tabs. Then over here on the right, we have the right tab and the design tab, and they are very descriptive the way that they are labeled. The right tab is where you're going to do your writing. For those of you who are instructional designers, this is the foundation of your work. This is where you're going to put the text. This is where you're going to put the dialogue. If you have dialogue with characters that your student is going to interact with, that will go here. If you have assessment questions, that will go here. It's really kind of where you start. It's the foundation. I was an instructional designer. I still do some instructional design work, and this is my favorite place to be, is the right tab. However, we do have the design tab, and this is going to be the look and feel of your simulation. This is where you're going to pull in images and, you know, different colors, fonts, make things look really nice, mess with the layout, make sure that the layout is proper, things like that. Okay, so that is what the design tab is for. So that's the basic overall layout of Simwriter, and then of course you also have all these different toolbars up above. I'm not going to go into any great detail here, but I do want to point out that this toolbar right here, I'm kind of hovering over with my mouse, that is the components toolbar. This is, I'm using very technical terms here, this is all the stuff that you can put on your stages. Okay, you can put characters, you can put choices, you can put feedback, text boxes, images, sound files, and so on. Okay, so this is very unique to Simwriter, and we're going to be playing with these a lot today. We also have these 4 buttons up here, the property, library, review, and behavior buttons. We're not going to go into much detail on these today. We are going to look at the property window, but just be aware that these are here. The behavior button, that basically opens up a window where you can do advanced behavior scripting. That is for our more advanced users. We're not going to get into that today, but that is what that is. For those of you who know about behavior scripting, you're familiar with that button. We have the review button where you can type in notes to maybe a fellow instructional designer at your company. You want to attach a note to a specific stage. You come in here, type something in, flag it as an error, a question, a comment, whatever you want to, and that will be there for them. So it's just a nice little handy kind of interdepartmental communication device. We have the library. This is where you keep your, most importantly, what you use this for are for creating and saving the templates that you will apply throughout your simulation. A template is something that you create, which means like you create it for the look and feel of a certain environment in your simulation or your e-learning course, and then you can apply it to multiple different stages. So you're not having to do a layout of like 30 stages that are all pretty much the same. You create it once, you have your template, you save it here, and then you can apply it wherever it needs to be. So that's what the library is really there for. And then, of course, the property window will give you the different properties of whatever element, whatever component that you put on your stage, and we will be looking at that today, okay? We also have some alignment buttons up here that I'll mess up a little bit. We have your traditional text formatting buttons up here. They're not active right now because there's no text on our screen on the stage, but they're here as well, very traditional. There shouldn't be anything too unfamiliar there, okay? So that's the overall layout of Simwriter. Let me show you what some of the new features are for 6.5. Let me start out here with the help menu. We have a couple of new things here. Well, the first thing isn't really new. It's just got a new name. We used to have help content as one of the options up here. That has changed. It's really a user guide. We decided to rename it. That's the only thing. When you click on your user guide, there's really pretty lengthy document that we put together that we update with every build of Simwriter. Every version that comes out, every service pack that comes out, just gets updated accordingly. So this is still here for you. You can go through the different table of contents, click on an area, and jump to that area. Okay? So the user guide is here. Something that's new, though, is this Simwriter Train Assistant. I'm very excited about this. What this is, the Simwriter Train Assistant is a simulation that we developed in-house that teaches our clients how to use Simwriter. It's a Simwriter about how to use Simwriter. And basically, it is low bandwidth, so we wanted to make it very accessible to people. So it is just text and audio, and we don't even have audio everywhere. We just kind of have it interspersed in different places. So it's very low bandwidth, but it will be very easy to download. And when you click on that link, it's going to launch your browser, and it will pull up this website that's through our NexLearn website that will give you access to the Simwriter Train Assistant. And you can just go through and pick what you want to look at. The first link here to begin, this is for the entire simulation, okay? And that's fine. If you want to go ahead and download the entire Train Assistant simulation, feel free to do that. If you want to jump to a few different specific topics, you can scroll through here. There's one on the right tab, there's one on the design tab, and so on, okay? You can look at that. This is something that we're very excited about and we want to do for a while. It's something that we're going to have to maintain and update, but we don't really have a whole lot of feedback from our clients on this yet, so we just encourage you to take a look at it. Available to you, though, please know that. We take our customer service very seriously at NexLearn, and so if you have a question and you can't figure out how to do something in Simwriter, and even after looking at the user guide or the Train Assistant, give us a call, let us know, send us an email to support@nexlearn.com. You can always email support@nexlearn.com, and there are a group of us who see every email that comes through like that. You can also contact AJ. You can have them get in touch with me. We will get someone to answer your questions. So please know that just because we have these resources, it doesn't mean that there isn't still a human being that you can talk to if you want to. And we all know how important that can be sometimes when you just want to talk to another person to figure out what problem you're having. So just please know that we are very happy to still work with you. Okay, so that's one of the new features in 6.5. The big thing that's coming out with 6.5 are we have some new types of interactivities that we can offer our clients. And these are interactivities that we have developed for our own custom development that we do for our clients, and we finally have them built into the courseware or into rather the software so that our clients can use them. And what it is, if you remember, this little guy right here that I'm hovering over, this is your choices icon. And it used to be when you clicked on that, what you would get is you would get what we're calling menu choices, okay? And I'm just going to drop this here on the right tab real quick. All right. Several of you probably are familiar with this, with what this is here, okay? This is where you can give your student different choices. Ideally, the way that this kind of all came about is we had social simulations that we created where we would have a character on the screen and they would say something to us, and then we would tell the student, okay, what are you going to say back to this character, this angry customer? Let's say it's an angry customer and you have to resolve their problem. And you would have these different choices and you would grade them from, you know, excellent to worse, or maybe it's mediocre, whatever you want to grade them as. Give them different options of what to say, give them feedback for how well they did, and then the character responds. Okay, so that is still here, that's still an option, and that is this first drop down. Let me get rid of this real quick. I'm going to move them over here. Go to, there we go. Okay. So that's going to be your first option here is menu choices. This is traditionally what you always got when you click on the choices icon. However, there's 3 new ones. We have single select, multiple select, and drag and drop. And I'm going to go through and show you each of these, and I'm going to show you how to build these. Please know that these are all described in the new user guide. And so if you need some help working on these, you can always go to the user guide. If you also just want to give us a call and talk to us about how to use these, we're happy to do that. We could even look at your content and work with you that way, you know, whatever you need. But these are the new types of interactive options we have for you. Let's start with single select. Okay, so I click on single select and this window is going to pop up. And the first thing it's going to ask me is what kind of choices do I want to give to my students? And it's going to say text, image, or image and text. This is probably familiar to those of you with some experience with Simwriter. The menu choices have always given you the same options. You can give your students text that they can choose, like a sentence to say. You can give them an image that they have to select, like, hey, here's a picture of a kitchen, an industrial kitchen where food is prepared. And you have to click on the 3 areas that have safety violations, let's say. There's 3 different images in that, you know, image that you have, or that photograph of the kitchen, let's say, that they have to click on. That could be an image-based interactivity. Or you can have image and text, where there's the image and there's also some text associated with it, okay? That variety of choices is tied into all these different types of interactions, whether it's multiple select, single select, okay, that's still here. I'm just going to leave it with text because that keeps it nice and simple for today, all right? I'm going to narrow my choices down to 4. I want to have 4 different answers or choices. I kind of use those terms interchangeably. I'm going to give my students, if I was tracking this for an LMS, I'd want to make sure that I check that box. I'm not going to worry about that today for the demo, but just know that you can track the scores, and of course most of our clients want to do that because it's all about training. It's all about keeping track of how people are performing. I'm going to hit the OK button, and my cursor becomes active. You see that there, my little mouse pad becomes active with the insert. Okay, you're used to that if you've used Simwriter. I can click anywhere on this blue space, and there it is. Okay, so now I can see the right tab version of the single select. All right, now really quick, excuse me, I want to go over here and show you the design tab. Let's jump over here real quick, which I don't normally do when I'm writing, but I want to show you this. So Simwriter has laid out these components on the design tab. It's pretty ugly, nothing really exciting because we haven't done any kind of graphical work here. Okay, this is just the bare bones. This is the screenwriter in front of the typewriter writing the screenplay. There's nothing glamorous about this yet. I'm going to pull this guy over a little bit. I'm going to center this up on the stage a little bit. I'm going to hold the shift key down so I can select all these different answers, pull them over here just so it looks a little bit nicer. Now, I'm going to fill all of these answers in. One thing you'll notice is I don't have the question that I'm going to ask my students. Okay, that's because we don't know how you want to ask your student the question. We don't know how you want to present that. Maybe you have a video of the character. Maybe you have a narrator who's going to say, okay, from the following choices, tell me which one is XYZ. Okay, you may have a sound file they listen to. Who knows? A lot of times it's going to be text. So what we would suggest is just go over here, and you'll see that I'm hovering over the text icon. Click on that, and we're going to drop a text box on the screen. It's that simple. Okay, so if you want to have a text-based question, Just drop a text box on there. Let's say that I'm developing an e-learning course about social media, okay? So I'm going to create a question here. I've already got these written out ahead of time. I'm not that quick on the draw. Urban Spoon is an example of which of the following types of social media, okay? Now, a couple of things here. First of all, I'm going to grab this text box. I'm going to align it to the center of my stage here, which is this little guy up here, all right? And I'm also going to click in the text box and center that up, okay? If you've used Word, you can use Simwriter as far as the, the fonts and the text modifying tools here are very familiar. I want to point out something really quick also. We do have a couple of new features with the text formatting options. We've got a subscript and we have a superscript. Now, we've got those two different buttons here. I'm hovering over them. So let's say I want to put a subscript after Urban Spoon. I just put the cursor where I want it. I click on the subscript button there, and I type in 3, for example, okay? If I want to put a superscript somewhere, let's say I put a superscript after the word type. I know this doesn't really make sense, but you get the point. I'm going to click the superscript, and I'm going to type the number 7, okay? So there you go. We can have a subscript and a superscript. Very simple. We also have some new features. Check that. We also have a vertical line spacing tool where you can go in and set the spacing for multiple lines of text, which is real nice. I'll let you explore that on your own. It's pretty self-explanatory. And we also have horizontal indentations, of course, as well. But the vertical line spacing is also new. So anyway, okay. So now I have my question that I'm going to ask the student. Let's jump back over here to the right tab. And if I scroll down a little bit, here we go. You'll see now that this text box is also showing up on my right tab. Traditionally, everything on the right tab you'll see over here on the Design tab, and likewise, except you might not see everything on the Design tab on the right tab, okay, because this is more graphic in nature, and the right tab can't handle all that. And also, if I was to modify something in this text box, it would go ahead and translate over here to the right tab, okay? So we have our question. Let's go in here, and now this is where we put the different answers or choices that we want to offer our students. So I'm going to come in here and fill some different answers in. The first one is going to be social network, I can talk. Let's do social publishing as another option they can choose. Let's do media sharing. And let's do here, online review. Okay, now we need to tell Simwriter. We need to tell Simwriter which is the correct answer. The correct answer, because we're talking about Urban Spoon, which I'm sure most of you have probably heard of, maybe some of you have used, is it's an online review service. Okay, so we're going to check this little radio button here. You can only check one because this is a single select interactivity. Okay, so we're going to tell Simwriter this is the correct answer. Okay, I'm down here with the feedback. This is very similar to what you've already been used to with the menu choices with the social simulation. You can just fill in your feedback here. I'm going to say Urban Spoon is an example of an online review service that shares information about the best and worst dining spots. Okay? And because I am lazy and time is of the essence, I'm just going to select all this text. I'm going to copy it, and we're going to drop it down here for the bad feedback as well. All right? Now, by default, your score is going to set up to the correct is excellent, or whatever, whatever scoring mechanism that you're using that you can set up in the simulation settings up here. Whatever you're using there is going to show up here. Mine is mine was set up with the academic A through F, so it's going to say excellent here, 0 down here. Okay. You can, of course, change that. It's pretty self-explanatory. You can also attach learning objectives to your interactivity here, which is great. We always, encourage that. So just like you have learning objectives with the social simulations, you can also attach them to your single select and your multiple select and your drag and drop. That does not change. You're always going to have that as an option. Something that's different here. So I have this stage. I have this stage here where I'm asking a question. They can select whatever they think the right answer is, and they hit the submit button. If I want them to get feedback on this same stage and show them that feedback as soon as they click the submit button, what I can do is check this box here that says show final feedback message. Okay, I can check that. And if I check that, this option becomes active as well. Show correct answer or answers with feedback. All right, and what that means is when the student gets that feedback, they're also going to see what the correct answer was or correct answers were. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and check both of those so you guys can see what that looks like. If I do that, I need to hop over here to the design button or the design tab and click on here. This new little continue button and this field back here, that is the feedback field right here. And sometimes it's a little bit hard to see, but you just kind of have to click outside the continue button and you'll see it. Let's pull my feedback field down here, and of course it's empty right now because we don't know what the student would choose. So it's going to be empty, but there, we'll just put it right here. It's not going to be very elegant, but like I said, this is something you can all make prettier in post-production. So, all right, I'm going to move this guy up just a little bit with my arrow. Okay, so now we have the feedback field on this page. One other thing I want to point out as well, below the feedback field, we also have this attempts allowed. You can set how many attempts you want to give your student to get this question correct. So I'm going to leave it by default just set at 1 because we're going to build this in a few minutes. I'm going to show you what it looks like. But just know that we give you up to 9 attempts, or you can have unlimited. Okay, so, and if you choose a certain number of attempts, like if I say, well, I want to give my student 3 attempts to get this interactivity correct, I can hit 3, and what's going to happen is Simwriter, let me scroll down here a little bit, is going to pop up with this text box. And this by default, the retry message that will appear, so let's say the student gets it wrong. Let's say they choose the wrong media type or social media type. So what would happen is they'd see the incorrect feedback, and they'd see this message that says, you have, and then this is going to be filled in with whatever is appropriate based on how many attempts you've selected. 2 attempts left. Please try again. Okay. You can also show the correct answer with the retry. Okay, or you can uncheck that. Whatever you want to do. By default, it's selected. You can also uncheck it. Okay. You can also modify the text if you'd like to. All right. I would leave this alone, though. I would leave the attempts left in there because I think that's really helpful. Okay. But that is, for example, something you can do. I'm going to leave it at 1. We're not going to worry about that today, but I just wanted to show you that is an option as well. Okay. So there's my first interactivity here is this single select. Let's go on and do another one. I'm going to do a blank stage on my map, and this time I'm going to come here to the choices component, select the caret, and I'm going to select multiple select as the type of interactivity I want to give my student. Again, I'm going to leave this as a text-based interactivity where the choices the student has to select from are text-based. I'm going to expand this down to 5 answers instead of just 4. I'm not going to track scores right now. My cursor becomes active. I'm going to drop it onto the stage here. Now, you'll notice this looks very familiar. This looks very similar to the single select interactivity, and that's great. I mean, you're exactly right. It does look very similar. It's going to function very much the same. So let's take the same approach. Let's jump over to that design tab, and let's go ahead and space this out a little bit, make this look a little bit nicer. It always takes a second to select my button there. There we go. Okay, let's put him here. Let's select each of my 5 answers, and pulling the shift key down to do that, pull those over, and let's grab a text box and toss it on here. All right, and this question is going to be, okay, hashtags are used in which of the following social media sites? And I'm also going to put up here, select all that apply. Okay. Now I'm going to expand out the size of my text box a little bit because it was cutting off. I'm going to center up my text. All right, there we go. So we want to ask them which of the following social media sites use hashtags. Okay. So I've got these 5 spots for my 5 choices. Let's fill them in. First one's going to be YouTube. And then we're going to do, whoops, come here. Then we're going to do WordPress, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All right. Those are my different choices. Now, we need to tell Simwriter which ones are correct. Okay? And believe it or not, these are all correct answers except WordPress. One of my much more tech-savvy colleagues told me that YouTube is now using hashtags, although it's not a very popular practice yet, but they are supporting hashtags. So you learned something today there. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, of course, use hashtags a lot. Okay, so WordPress is the only incorrect answer. All right, so we have told Simwriter what the correct answers are, And let's go ahead, and I want to go ahead and show the final feedback message again and show the correct answers. I think it's good for you guys to see how that works. And let's fill in some feedback here. Okay, hashtags use the pound symbol in front of a word or phrase, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'm not going to finish this out. I want to keep this demo as brief as possible so you can ask questions later. Okay. So I've got my feedbacks in there. Score is fine, and I could attach learning objectives if I want to. I'm not going to right now, but you could attach learning objectives as well. All right. So let's go over and we'll take a look at the design tab. There's my question. Here's my different choices. I did say I wanted to have feedback on the screen. So let me pull my feedback elements down so that they are not right on top of that. Okay, there's that. I'm so used to working with Simwriter. I just get used to the fact that the feedback field is going to be near that continue button. You just got to click, and it'll highlight for you and show you where it's at. Okay, but there we go. There's that. I'm going to go up and save my work. By the way, a new feature in 6.5 is also that oh no, I'm sorry, it's not 6.5. I believe it was 6.0. It was 6.0 that had this, so you should already know about this. So we do have autosave as a new feature. So that is no, what am I thinking? What am I thinking here? I'm getting my releases messed up. That is actually going to be in the service pack that's coming out. We have a new autosave feature. Okay, so I'm used to saving because we used to not have that feature, but we do have autosave, which is very much needed by our clients to have that autosave. Okay, so we have our multiple select choice question set up. Now I'm going to show you the final one. Let's put another blank stage on our map. And let me come over here, and for the choices, I'm going to select now the drag and drop. And this one's going to look a lot different. And let me start actually in the right tab so you can see that. Okay, let's do drag and drop. And you have the number of drag objects and the number of targets. So this is the way you need to think of this. Just think of how many items do I want my student to drag, and how many places do I want them to be dragged to? What is the scenario? And it's really going to be driven by your content. You know, it just depends on what you need to have happen. You could have just a couple of objects that need to be dragged to several different places, okay, several different targets. You may have several different objects that only need to be categorized into 3 different targets. You know, it just depends on what you need to teach to your students. For purposes of the demo, I'm going to leave this at 4 and 4, okay? I'm going to do 4 objects that have to be dropped to 4 different targets, all right? I'm going to hit the OK button. My cursor becomes active, and I'm going to drop it onto the screen. Okay, this looks a little bit different. This looks different than the multiple select and single select. And it does function a lot differently, and the way that we are going to approach it is also different. The feedback is the same. Let's go over and take a look at the Design tab. The Design tab only has this guy right here. He's all by himself, okay, our little Submit button. And there's nothing else on the screen. And that's because we want to give you the flexibility to use whatever you want to in a drag and drop. We have developed drag and drop exercises and interactivities for a lot of clients, and they can be all over the board. It can be dragging images and on top of other images. It can be dragging words. It just depends on what their needs are. And so we need to first figure out these 2 columns. What are our items going to be that we're going to drag, and what are we going to drag them to? What are those targets going to be? So well, actually, this is one of the few times in Simwriter where you're really going to start in the Design tab, okay? And it seems a little bit backwards at first, but really once you do it, it makes a lot of sense. Of course, this is detailed in the user guide, but please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you'd like some assistance with this, okay? And we're always looking for ways to make this more user-friendly, but right now we're trying to keep it very open so you can do whatever you want to. In my situation, I am going to go ahead and put a text box on the screen for the question. Let's go ahead and keep that going because that seems to be pretty standard. A lot of our clients tend to put questions in text format, okay? So I'm going to give my students the challenge of match each social media site to the type of social media it represents. There we go. All right. Let's center that up. Click on here and align that center. Okay. Now, that's what I want my students to do. Okay, that's what I want them to do. Now, what are my draggable items going to be? I'm going to do something a little bit different here. I'm going to use some images, okay, instead of just text. I've been working with text a lot. I'm going to pull some images in, all right? And I knew I was going to be doing this, So I already have the images ready. And if you see my little cursor here, I'm hovering over the image component in the components toolbar. All right. If I click over here on the drop down, I can go to my computer and browse my files to find these images. I can do whatever. I can capture an image that's on my desktop, whatever I need to do. I've already saved these images to my collections, and so that's where I'm going to go. And any of you who have used Simwriter for any length of time are probably familiar with this. You can upload your own images into Simwriter and save them in your collection so that they stay there. Like, for example, a perfect example would be if you have a company logo that you use in all of your e-learning courseware. You're going to want to save that logo into your collection so that that is available for anybody who's using Simwriter, that they can go in there, they can find that logo, and then they can also drop it into their e-learning course, okay? So these are my images right here, my social media images. I've got the Facebook icon, so I'm going to select that and drop that onto my stage. Let's go back over, and I'm also going to select the Pinterest icon and drop that guy on there. We've also got the Twitter icon. And the YouTube icon. Okay. And I'll try to lay these out a little bit nicer. This is not going to be anything perfect, but there they are. Okay, these are the different objects, items that I want my student to drag. Now, where am I going to have them drag them to? All right, so that's the question. Let me figure out what my targets are going to be. Now, I could have some images that I put here that they could be dragged to. I'm just going to do some text boxes. Okay, I've got a text box, and I'm just going to lay it right here. And I'm going to label the text box with the type of social media. That's how I want to do this. And this is where my property window is going to come into play, because I'm going to click the property button here to open up my property window. I need to format these boxes so they're a little bit more user-friendly. I first want to go in and I want to change my box to not auto resize. I want to set the size of this, so I don't want it to automatically resize for me. So let me come in here and make this a size that will work. Yeah, that should work. That's just about the right size, maybe something more like that. Okay, I'm going to give it a border. Right now, by default, it doesn't have a border. Black is fine. Let's go ahead and make the background not be transparent. Let's make it a solid background, and let's change the color to something maybe like purple. There we go. Great. Okay, now I actually want to put in this text box the label of the social media type. Okay, so the first one I'm going to do here is going to be bookmarking site. Okay, and I'm going to double click that. I'm going to center that in my box. I'm going to bold it. Let's change the text to something easier to see, like white. I'll just go ahead and choose white. There we go. Okay, now I've got my bookmarking site, and this is one of the targets that Pinterest will be dragged to. Okay, because Pinterest is an example of a bookmarking site. Okay, so we've got that first one set up. Now, what I want to do is, this is really important. I need to, before I go any further, I need to make sure that this target is named appropriately. And I need to make sure, frankly, that these guys are too, that these different draggable items are all named appropriately. And what that means is right over here. This property window, excuse me, the names of these different elements in this property window are very important, because back on our right tab, go back over to the right tab, these columns will be populated with all these different names. And so you need to make sure that we name those elements very clearly so we know how to set up our association when we come back over to the right tab. I'll show you how we do that in a second. First, let's make sure the names are clear. Now, before our call, I had already saved and named these different images. Okay, so these make sense. The Facebook full graphic here is called Facebook icon. Click on the Pinterest one, called Pinterest icon. Twitter, and so on. Okay, so those are very easy for me to tell what's what. But the bookmarking site target is called text3_1. Okay, that doesn't tell me anything. So we're going to go in here and we're going to rename this bookmarking site. And now it updates here in my property window. I know that that's where Pinterest should be dropped on. That's where it should be. That's the Pinterest target. Okay. Now I need to make 3 more targets for the rest of these draggable items. So I'm just going to copy and paste 3 times that box. Okay, just so I don't have to reformat everything, just to save some time. I just did Control-C, and then I hit Control-V 3 times. Good old Control-C, Control-V. All right, let me just select these guys real quick. Pardon how long this takes me to do with my mouse. There we go. All right. Now, again, this is not going to be really perfectly lined up. And we do obviously have tools that could allow you to line things up really nicely. Like the over here, you see this left and top, there's different parameters there. That's how you can make sure that things are lined up properly, by putting things at the proper parameters. Okay, so they're all called bookmarking sites though. So we got to change that. So first of all, we got to change the text itself. So let's make this social network. All right, and now our social network target is called bookmarking site 1. We want to rename that social network. Over here, we're going to call this one media. Oops, or if I can spell, media sharing. And over here, we don't want it to be called bookmarking, so we're going to call it media sharing. And down here, change this to social publishing. And also in the property window, let's update it to social publishing. There we go. I like to not have spaces in here for some weird reason. I think the engineers are rubbing off on me a little bit. Okay, so now we have our 4 targets. They're all named appropriately here in the property window, okay, which is real nice. Something else I forgot to do earlier, and I want to show you this as well. Here's our little submit button. Another feature with 6.5 is that, let me click on there, hey, submit button. For some reason it's not letting me highlight the text. Maybe it's too small. Let's see. Why is that not letting me select it? You can actually update the text on a button by clicking directly on it. And I don't know why it's acting like that. That's really strange. Let me come over here to one of these guys. It will allow you, and of course this happens during the demo. I was just doing it earlier and it was behaving just fine. You can actually modify the caption on a button on the fly. You used to have to open the property window and change the caption within the property window. You don't have to do that anymore. You can actually modify it on the button. So I'm not sure why that is working. That's really, really strange because it was working fine earlier. So you could go through there. I could change this to something like, am I correct? Check answer, whatever language you want to put on there. You can obviously just change it on the fly, and then you can also update the font to be bold, to be a different color, whatever you would prefer, okay? So that is another feature of 6.5. Okay, so I'm not sure why it's not working well on this build right now. That's really strange, but it should work for you just fine. Okay, so we have our draggable items set up, and then we have our drop targets. Let's go back now to the right tab. We come back here, and we want to go through each of these different drop downs and select our 4 different items that we're going to drag. I'm going to select the little caret there and come down here till I find one of the items. And the Facebook icon is one of them. I'm going to select that and then come over here to the target field and remember, okay, what is the Facebook, what's Facebook an example of? Well, it's an example of a social network. And there's the social network target. There's that text box. So I'm just going to click on that. I'm going to go through here and do that for every one of these. There's the Pinterest icon. That is an example of a bookmarking site. Come over here. Let's find Twitter. Twitter is an example of social publishing. Okay. And then last one here, YouTube. There it is. And that is an example of media sharing. Okay. So now I've made all the associations. And obviously, this would adjust for however many items and targets you have. Maybe you have a whole bunch over here and only a few over here, or a whole bunch over here and a few over here. It just depends on what your content is and what you want to teach your students. Over here, this drop target area, this is really, excuse me, this is really just a usability type of thing. This basically allows you to expand the area that the student has to drop the target or the item into. So for this example, and by the way, when you do that, they give you, Simwriter gives you these nice little arrows showing you the associations that you made, which is kind of nice. One thing to keep in mind is that you can, if you have a lot of, if you have a busy stream, okay, let's say you have a lot of things you're dragging, or maybe you have several targets, who knows. You may not want to, you may want to give your student a little bit of padding where they can drop the item. So right now, the way I have it set up right now is that the drop target area is same as the drop target. What that means is when I click this Facebook icon, I have to pull that all the way over and get it at least over part of the actual area. I could also add a little bit of padding around that target if I wanted to, okay? And this is really just driven by whatever your screen looks like. But we wanted to give people a little bit of padding if they needed it. So if you want to add some padding in, you just click on the ellipses here. It opens up a new window, and instead of it being the area being same as the drop target, you can also add some padding around however you want to. All the way around, just in certain areas, whatever you need to. Okay, it's kind of it's really a design consideration. Okay, we're just going to leave it same as the drop target because our interface is very clean here. There's lots of space, and there's no reason why somebody couldn't, drag that over on top of one of the targets. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and show the funnel feedback message again, show the incorrect and correct targets. You come back over here, there's that feedback box. I'm going to pull this guy down a little bit. Let's see if we can find some room for him. Let's change the size. I think we're going to have to change the size of him a little bit. I don't know if we can do that though right now. Let's see. Yeah, I probably don't know if I can do that. Yeah, I think I have to leave that alone for now. Oh, that reminds me of one other thing I want to show you. Let's go ahead and bring him down here. And there's my button. Let's bring that down here as well. Like I said, it won't be pretty, but at least it's something that, you can see the feedback. Something else, when you drag your item onto a target, you can specify how those items are basically aligned on the target. And what you would do is you go into the property window here, and it's this main drag drop element. Okay, this is basically, this drag drop element is the question itself. Okay, and the drag drop functionality. So what you do is you're going to come over here and click on that main option. Okay, and if you highlight the main option, then it's going to allow you to have this property called target arrangement, meaning how do you want items to be arranged on your target. And by default, it's going to be a list, but you could also have tiles, stacking. If you have several things that are going to be on a target, that you can have them stacked. I'm going to select the stack center just so that these guys, when they go onto the targets, they'll be centered on each of these text boxes. Okay, you can play with that and learn what the different options are, but I just wanted to point that out, that you can specify how those are arranged on the target. Okay, all right, so we have our feedback, our continue button. We've got all of our associations there. Let's put in some feedback. We don't have any feedback yet. I'll say that is correct. Facebook is an example of a social media site, blah, blah, blah. Okay, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Copy, paste. All right. So I've got my feedbacks in there. I want to show the feedback message. Okay, I've got everything set up the way that I need to have it set up. Okay, oops, I got unchecked. All right. Let me hit save again just to make sure. Okay, so now I also want to play this. I want to play this simulation so you can see it. So I need to link these stages together. Any of you with experience with Simwriter know how important the linking is. The linking tells Simwriter, here's where to go next. Here's where I want you to take the student based on what happens in this question, or what happens on this stage, I should say. Okay, so I've got my links there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to build the simulation. All right, and so I'm going to build test simulation on screen, and this is going to take just a moment while it builds up there. Okay, great. And as you can see, it's not very attractive. It's pretty boring, but that's what we've done, here, and just a half hour or so. Okay, so Urban Student is an example of which the following types of media. Okay, we know the right answer is online reviews. Let's go ahead and get it wrong. Let's say it's an example of media sharing, and hit submit. Okay, and remember I had selected the option to show the feedback on the screen and show what the correct answer is. So we get our incorrect feedback here, and it's also showing us that no, media sharing is the wrong answer with the red X. Green check mark shows that online review is the correct answer. Okay, we'll continue on. Here's the multiple select interactivity. Hashtags are used in which the following social media sites. YouTube, we'll get this one right. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're going to hit submit, and we get our correct feedback. And the green check marks show up all next to the choices that we made. So that worked well. And then finally, here's the drag and drop, okay? With this one, I'm going to get a couple of them wrong. This marketing site, we'll do Pinterest, and we'll do Twitter, we'll do social publishing. We'll get those right. And you'll notice when I did that, a couple of things. You'll notice when I did that, if I just bring it over a little bit onto the target and let go, there we go. It's going to kind of snap into place, okay? But if I don't bring it all the way in, if I have it outside, it's just going to go right up here. It's going to say, no, you don't know where to put this, okay? I'm going to put the YouTube on the social network, which is wrong, and Facebook on media sharing, okay? You'll notice that the targets, the items, draggable items are centered on those targets. So click submit. Okay, remember my feedback was down here. That is incorrect. Facebook is an example, blah, blah. So I have the red X's on the items that are incorrect, and I have the green check marks on the items that I did match up properly, okay? So that is a quick view of how that all functions. I do want to show you really quick, I'd like to show you an example of what this can look like when it looks a little bit prettier. One of my colleagues put this together, and she did it pretty quick, but she's really good at this and is very accustomed to doing our custom development. I just want to show you that it can look a lot prettier with more time. And she did not do the show final feedback message on the same stage. What she did is she added these separate stages for providing feedback to our students, okay, which is obviously an option you can use. Let's come in here and we're going to, I think this is the first one, on screen. Okay, so you can see it looks a lot different. Prettier background, the continue button is actually up here in the top right-hand corner. She added a little logo, has a different button here. You can go through, hit submit, and then we go to the next page to get our feedback, okay? So I just wanted to show you that it can look a lot, there we go. It can look a lot prettier where we get the correct feedback, and then here's the final one, okay? So we'll submit, okay? So there you go. But I just wanted to show you that it can be a little bit more attractive than what I showed you. So not going to worry about that. Okay, going back to our simulation. So these new interactivity choices or options, I guess, is a big feature with Simwriter 6.5. That is probably the biggest thing that we have to offer in 6.5 as well, as far as something that can dramatically change how you present your e-learning. There's something else that we developed that I want to show you real quick, and you can either have the links in there or not, it doesn't really matter, but we basically have this new feature that I don't know how much it's going to be used by our clients, but those clients who need it really need it. And we had a client who really needed this, and that's why we developed this, because we could see some real merit in this. We have now a stage bank feature where you can identify stages, and they can have anything on them. They can be assessment stage, like interactivities like this, and that's what I'm going to do because that's what I've built. They can be character stages. They can have videos on them. They can do whatever you want. They can just be, stages with text on them. Whatever you need, you can identify them as being members of a bank. And basically, what we have then is a stage bank of stages that you basically can draw from and kind of pepper throughout your simulation where you want them to be. Drop them into your simulation at different places. What we recommend that you do, all the work that we've been doing is in this first topic. We do recommend that if you want to have a stage bank, you try to keep your stages that you want to use in the bank all in one topic, because it helps you keep them organized better. And also, you might have multiple e-learning courses that you want to use, or that you want to have all pull from that same bank of questions or stages, whatever they may be. Maybe not assessment questions, but whatever they may be. And if that's the case, if you have them all on the topic, you can copy and paste that topic among your different simulations and your e-learning courses. So we recommend they all stay in one. And also, you can, if you have a topic that has all of your stages that you want to have in this bank, you could even label that topic as the stage bank. Okay, and this is just for your internal labeling. Your student doesn't see this. So that can kind of help keep things straight as well. What you want to do is whenever you have a stage that you want to include in this bank, you just right mouse click on the stage, and there's this new option that says add to the stage bank. And when you do that, this nice little kind of light turquoise bar is going to pop up next to the stage. And that tells Simwriter whatever the whenever this developer wants to pull in a stage from the stage bank, this is going to be one of the stages. All right, these are the ones they can select from. So let's go back in. Here's topic 2. We've done nothing in topic 2. Let's say that we have been creating a simulation. Let's have a character. Let's have a narrator on the first stage. And then let's say we want to insert some choices, like a 3-choice interactivity here. So we've got the character says something that links to some choices. I'm just going to do something very simple down here. And then we have the character responding, okay, and then we have another link there. And let's say at this point we want to draw from that stage bank and have one of those stages pulled in. So what we would do is come back up here to our new stage icon, click on the drop down, then instead of doing a blank stage or the narrator or choices, we're going to put a placeholder, okay? Click on that placeholder, and it's also that bright turquoise color. And you come over here to the window that pops up, and it's going to, Simwriter is going to ask you, do you want me to randomly pick a stage from that bank, okay, a stage bank member? Do you want me to randomly pick one and just toss it in there, or do you want to select a specific one? If you want a specific one, you can hit no, and this is going to update, and you can identify exactly what stage you want to put there, okay? But let's put it randomly because there's some more complexity if we do random. So let's say, yeah, randomly choose a stage bank member, and we have to identify what topic, you know, where it's located, and we have this topic 1 as our stage bank. We check that. You can have multiple stage banks. You know, you can have that if you want to. So we're going to check that. We know that within that stage bank or that topic, there are 3 different stages. Okay, the count is 3, and there's stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. And those are my single select, multiple select, and drag and drop interactivities. Okay, and I can say, yeah, Simwriter, when the student gets to this placeholder, randomly select one of these stages right here for that placeholder. Now, if those stages in that topic are linked, like they were earlier, you know, I had them linked earlier, that means that when Simwriter goes and draws one of the stages, whatever it's linked next to is also going to play. So if you want those stages to just be appearing one at a time, you need to make sure there are no links there, okay? Or perhaps you do have a stage that if it appears, you definitely want to have the second stage appear, then just link it, and it will be pulled in that way, okay? Now, there's a couple different options down here. We're going to talk about this first one. Reset visit histories of the selected stage banks above. Okay, if you check the reset visit histories, this comes into play really if you're developing a simulation where there is the opportunity for the student to come back to this path. And any of you who have developed simulations know with the branching and the looping that you can do, you can have the student, for example, get to the end of a topic, and if they haven't scored a certain percentage or better, you can send them back to the top. You can link them directly. You can use behavior scripting to do that. There's a lot of different ways to handle that in Simwriter, and too many for me to get into right now, but just know that there are a lot of possibilities for people to loop back through a simulation path. Okay, you don't have to set yours up that way, but I know a lot of our clients do that if the students don't perform well enough. If that's the case, then this is an important thing to consider here. This is an important checkbox because when the student comes back through, Simwriter by default is going to remember what stage it pulled in right there, and it will pull randomly. It will pull a different stage the second time the student goes through, unless you check that box. If you check that box, you're basically telling Simwriter, reset the visit histories of the stage bank. So if the student goes back through, I want you to reset it. Simwriter's going to say, I'm going to reset these as if none of them have been seen before, and any of them can be selected for the student to see again. Okay? That may or may not be important to you. If it is, great. There's this option here, but that's what that means. Okay? I'm not going to talk about the second one yet. I'm just going to hit OK. Now, perhaps you also have a situation where you want to have 2 or 3, you know, or however many placeholders in a row. If that's the case, you can drop those in here. We're going to say, yes, randomly pick a stage bank member from this stage bank. Now, if I have this placeholder that's going to show one of those stages, and then I have a second one that's also randomly going to select one of those stages, it's important that I think about this second text box. Okay, this is really important when you have placeholders back to back, because basically what this is saying is you're telling Simwriter whether or not you want it to use stages that have already been visited. So if you have a series of 3, let's say, okay, and you want Simwriter to show the 3 different interactivities in whatever order, but you want to be sure that each of them are viewed, okay, then you would want to leave this unchecked, okay? If you check that, all right, then it means that Simwriter could show the same stage over again, all right? So instead of having, I'm going to leave it unchecked for right now. I'm going to drop one more placeholder on here. But basically what I'm saying is, if the student went through here and this said, you know, do not use this stage if it was not checked, then it means the student can see stage 3, stage 1, stage 2. If you check it, the student can see stage 3, stage 2, stage 2, because it won't care if it's been visited before. Okay. Again, it may not be important to you, but I wanted to just point that out that is also an option there. Okay. This is something that's a little bit more advanced. And like I said, please, if you feel like you have a need to use this, but you're having a hard time grasping how exactly you want to incorporate that, give us a call. Let us know what your content's like, what you want to do with it. It is in the user guide. You can go up there and read about it. It's pretty well detailed, but just know that this is a new feature, and it's been our experience that the clients who need this really need it, and other clients don't have any need for it. It just depends on your situation, okay? So that is the new stage-based feature. There's a few more things. I'm coming up on an hour, and so I really need to wrap up. There's a couple more things I want to show you really quick. I want to drop a blank page onto my map here, and we now have media control buttons that are available with any media that you place in your simulation. So, for example, I'm going to put a movie on my screen, and actually, let me change the size really quick of my simulation, because I think that this video, if I remember right, is let's change the size. If it's not, no big deal. All right, I'm going to come up here to this to the design tab, and you'll see this is my movie. This is my movie icon, and I kind of want to see just how it's going to look, which is why I look at the design tab. And I'm going to click on this drop down, and I'm going to go browse to this file. I have an MP4 that I'm going to put on my stage. So I'm going to go browse my files, and it's down here towards the bottom. There it is. So I'm going to select it, and I'm going to drop it onto my stage. I'm going to align it center, okay? And let's go build. Let's go build our simulation at this stage. You guys can see it. I'm going to build, and I'm going to test the simulation at the current stage. And there it is. Now, you don't see it right now, but as soon as I hover over this video, there's the media control button, okay? And they're pretty traditional. You've got your play, pause, button. You've got your scrubber here. You've got your time counter, your audio, mute, whatever you want to do there, okay? So it's very, very traditional, something that you're probably very accustomed, all of us who, down the internet and are looking at videos, YouTube, whatever, we're very familiar with this, okay? This is by default turned on for any media that you put into your simulation, into your e-learning course. You can also deactivate it, okay? You can deactivate it. Let me escape here. And the way that you turn it on and off is basically you just go to that stage and you click on the media element. Click on your little media component there and pull up your property window, okay? Pull up your property window, and the only thing on my stage is this movie. That's why there's only one thing there. And at the very bottom, let me pull this up a little bit. At the very bottom here, there's the media controls, and it is by default set to yes. Okay, if I want to turn it off, I just set it to no. Okay, so that is how you can deactivate or activate the media control button. I think that's a really big improvement. I know it's almost 2, but I want to show you a couple more things just really quick, and then we can open it up for questions. I also want to show you in the build settings. So you go to your build menu and come down to build settings. We've made some advancements with our HTML5 publishing. I'm going to launch just the HTML5 courseware. We have a couple of things that are new for HTML5. They were previously only available for Flash-based publishing, but now we have it for HTML5. First of all, we now have the media loading options, so you can load your media ahead of time. This is something that you were probably familiar with the Flash-based publishing, but now we have it for HTML5, which is really nice. It will help your simulation play back a lot smoother than before. You just click on the loading options, and you can set how many steps in advance from 1 to 5. It is by default going to be set at 2. Okay, but you can adjust that, and you can have your waiting cursor also set up there, okay? So it's pretty straightforward. The other one that's new is this enable debugging. The enable debugging, this is something that we at NexLearn can't live without. This is really important to us because we develop so much custom courseware. Basically what this does, if you have this check and then you build your simulation, what that means is that when you are going through that build, excuse me, when you are going through that build of your courseware, of your simulation, your e-learning course, you can, as you're going through it, if you find something that's wrong, you find a misspelled word, you find a graphic that's out of line, you find something that needs to be fixed, you can hit your tilde key up in the upper, left-hand corner of your keyboard there. You basically just tap on that tilde key, and it will pop up a little box in the upper left-hand corner that tells you what topic and what stage you are looking at. Okay, so you can record and say, hey, there's a word misspelled in this, in this text box. You can say it's in topic 1, stage 7. And then you can go back and you know exactly where to go over here in your map. You click, the F12 button. If you click your F12 button, let me get you real quick. F12 pulls up the stage ID. For every single stage that you put in Simwriter, you will have these different ID numbers. Okay, so right now this person here is topic 2, ID 1, and it will tell you that. So then you can go in, topic 2, stage 1, and make that change. Okay, so that's also something that is really, really helpful. One final thing, and then I will wrap up. I wanted to make sure that people knew that starting with Simwriter 6.5, we no longer support ActionScript 2.0 media. Okay, your media is going to have to be ActionScript 3.0 or higher. Okay, now that's the reason why when you install Simwriter 6.5, when you upgrade to the new version, it is going to be a separate installment from 6.0. We specifically set up that way so our clients could keep 6.0 on their machine, and when they install 6.5, it will be a separate installation in case you have, courseware that uses ActionScript 2.0 media. Okay, because we don't want you to have media that now is completely useless, and we know how expensive it can be to go capture new media. You might have to, go talk to a studio and hire photographers or videographers and hire actors and all that good stuff, and that can be very, very costly. So 6.5, when you download it, it will be a separate download from 6.0. If you don't use ActionScript 2.0 and you're already, and that's not an issue for you, then you're just going to have the 2 different versions of Simwriter, and that's fine. It won't really bother you, but if you do have ActionScript 2.0 media, we didn't want to leave you hanging and not be able to use that media that you had before. So just please keep in mind that 6.5 only supports ActionScript 2.0 or newer than that as it's evolved. There are a few other things I could show you, but really those are the big things that I wanted to make sure that I pointed out to you. And we're just past 2 o'clock. So AJ, I think that I am going to stop talking now and toss it back over to you so that if there's any questions out there, hopefully I can answer them. And if I can't, I can at least get them all recorded so I can go find some answers for people.
Karen, thank you so much for that very informative webinar.
Sure.
Found it to be very interesting. I have not received any questions which I cannot answer. So I got all those questions answered through the chat window. So for those who are already on the call, if there are any other questions after what just Karen presented, this is the time to ask them through the chat, and we'll just stand by, and if there aren't any questions, we will wrap up this session shortly.
I'm going to put our email address
stand by
here.
for your questions.
Also, yeah, AJ, I'm going to put our email address here just so people can see that it is support@nexlearn.com. And just, if you have any questions going forward as you're using Simwriter, we really want to help you. We have some really great people on our team, and we develop a lot of custom courseware, and there's a lot that we've seen. There's a lot that we've attempted to do and accomplished that we didn't think we could do. We've done some very, very complicated simulations. So we really welcome any challenge. If you have something that you want to get done, let us know. And if you can't figure out how to get it done, please email us. And the best way really is at that support@nexlearn.com. I know that's not a human being, at least initially, but there are several of us who see all those emails. And so if somebody's out of the office or whatever, somebody can get back to you and make sure that we connect you with the best person. It might be an engineer that you need to talk to, some advanced behavior scripting, or it might be an instructional designer that you need to talk to about how to present some content, how to use some interactivities. You know, we want to make sure that we get you with the right person. So please feel free to email us whenever you have any kind of challenge, because we're happy to help.
Karen, I got a question from our chat session. The question is, how and where can I get information and perhaps some samples of these types of simulations? The person who sent the question is primarily interested in branching simulations. If you can, bring back our website.
Yeah.
So, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, we have on our website, we do have some showcase pieces, and this has just been updated very, very recently. So this is going to have a lot of good examples of some things that we've done pretty recently. Let me take a look at this. If you're talking about a branching example, let me think. And there's descriptions for all of these. Let me just think for a second. This is a really good one. The Harvard Business Publishing, that's a real sim that we created for Harvard Business Publishing. That's pretty good. This one's a really good one too. Meeting with the pharmacist. These are both, well, and frankly this one is as well. These are simulations. Now I don't know if this person is asking for a social situation or not, but even if it isn't, if it's more hard skill, like make sure that you select the right part of the screen and click on the right part of the screen where you need to click in and enter information, the same concept can be used, okay? We also have our Scallywag Management, which was a sim that we developed internally that's definitely social in nature. That's really fun and also has some branching. So I would say if you want to look at any of these right here, these are the ones that are going to have some really good social branching and show you that you have different outcomes based on what you do in these. This leading across the age of, I'm trying to remember, I've looked at that. That has to do with different generations. That's right. This is neat because this one is about effectively with people from different generations. Are they Generation X? Are they a boomer? Generation Y? You know, what generation do they come from? And based on what generation they are, how would you approach them to either communicate, you know, information or gather information from them? That's pretty cool. This one here is where you're meeting with a doctor and you are a pharmaceutical sales rep. And you have to convince her by giving her the proper information that she's going to need to make a decision to start offering her clients. And she's an OBGYN, that she's going to start offering her clients a specific type of medication, okay? And so, and this gal is she's one of our best actresses. Suzanne's great. And she is not an easy sell. She's an impatient, busy doctor. And so you have to learn how to communicate with her. And there's these gauges. I don't want to scroll over it because it fades out, but there's these gauges at the bottom of the screen that give you real-time feedback on how well you're doing. Are you in the green? Are you in the red? Are you, making her angry, wasting her time, or are you doing a good job of telling her what she needs to know? And over here with the home theater, you're trying to sell the proper and the most effective home theater system to these customers. And this is kind of neat because it uses avatars, and it has a coach feature too, so you can see how it uses coaches to give feedback. So there's a variety there. Take a look at those and see what you think. And if you need some more examples, we can probably see what we can work out. I have to be very careful with what we show A lot of what we develop is for clients, and so there is a lot of proprietary considerations to make there. But any of these you can look at, and so. But if it's not addressing your need, if you need to see something more, do reach out to us. We can work with you, and so you can see something, properly without showing anything that we can't, to at least address your question. So just let us know. And this is just at NexLearn.com. Yeah, NexLearn.com is our website. Pretty easy under the showcase link there.
Very good. Thank you, Karen. We also have some examples on Simwriter.com. If you go to the showcase area, you'll see some similar examples in there as well. And we will just stand by for any other questions.
Oh, it's going to put Simwriter.com, AJ. Simwriter.com.
Yep.
There we go. Yeah, there it is. There we go. There's a showcase there. Oh, wait, there we go. Whoops, I got a menu. The gallery. There we go. Yeah, there's the same one. Oh, there's customer service training. Yeah, that's the one that we created that internally. That's a good one to take a look at. That's where you're a bank teller, and people are coming to your window to ask you questions at the bank. There's that same one. Here's a social simulation. I think this is kind of a basic managerial scenario where she is one of your team members, and you're visiting with her. I think about her like management skills. It's been a while since we developed that, so I have a hard time remembering the exact topic.
And yeah, if someone wants to just learn in general about simulations-based learning and immersive learning simulations, branching simulations, you can always visit the NexLearn.com site and go to our blog, and we keep that very active, and we publish even free media packs in there. So if you are using Simwriter, for an example, you can download free media packs from the blog site, but we get a lot of fresh content out there, everything about simulations-based training and e-learning and m-learning in general is posted there. So that's going to serve you as a good resource, and you can access it without registering with us. I think you might have to just enter in your email address, but you don't have to go through a lengthy registration. So after that, no login is required. So that's definitely out there for you to use. So I haven't been seeing any other questions coming through. So for those who are still on the line, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Karen, thanks for your time. That was a great presentation. Sure. We have recorded this session, so we'll be posting it on our blog and through our social media as well. So if you want to come back to it, that'll be definitely available to you. Thanks again for your time, and hope you enjoyed it, and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Talk to all of you very soon. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.